Welcome to a special exclusive episode of Nerds and Friends with our special guest, Mike Farrell. We are talking about, spoiler alert, the first 5 episodes of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And so if you haven't seen those and don't want spoilers, stop now, but come back later because we have some good stuff to say. Mike, thanks for joining us today. Very happy to have you here.
Josh, I'm so glad that we chose the images that we have in the background here. I think it adds a lot of production value for the podcast.
Oh, so much. It's epic. I love it. I feel the force filling within me just with these backgrounds.
Yeah, and I love that you tweaked your lighting as well, so you have the nice shadows on you.
Yes.
I'm clearly representing the light side. I
Yes.
put on my glasses as well because this is an episode of Nerds with Friends.
Yes. You got to fit the glasses are a requirement for our podcast. Actually, most people don't realize that.
Yeah,
You can't be on unless you're wearing spectacles of some sort.
I never thought that I would be a Star Wars nerd, but once you buy a Darth Vader NFT,
you're in for life.
Yeah, dude, I've got buddies who have sent me like pictures, and they're like, check out the girls I'm hooking up with. And I'm like, yeah. Check out my Darth Vader ultra rare. hey, she's really hot, but check out this Darth Vader ultra rare. That's how I know I'm a nerd, Josh.
So welcome to the club. It's good stuff.
Well, Josh, where do you want to jump in? It's been an exciting series.
Yes. Compelling, well written, well done, incredible. Just to give my off the cuff opinion of it, I think it's been amazing. Just from a broad standpoint.
I would have to say that out of everything Star Wars has produced, from the original Mark Hamill series to the I guess now the prequels to the sequels with Daisy Ridley, to outside of Rogue One,
yes,
outside of some aspects of the Mandalorian, this is the best that Star Wars has done since the originals. There's no doubt.
I would agree. I think it's a bit. Well, I really enjoyed the Mandalorian. I'd say it's on par with the Mandalorian, but I think it's just excellent Star Wars, and I've just been loving every moment of it.
Yeah, I think that the series is actually better than the films that Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen did.
That's valid. I think it builds on. I think the prequel films are a necessary foundation that this show builds on really beautifully.
Totally.
Yep.
So let's just jump into it. What are the standout episodes in your mind? I think I have a couple that I really, really liked. The whole series has been strong.
Yeah.
But what are the standouts?
I have to say, I did not expect young Leia to be a part of the series at all. From the trailers initially, I was like, oh, this is going to somehow involve young Luke. So I thought that was really cool. They veered away and had this whole plot that no one was expecting of, okay, she's been kidnapped and Ben Kenobi has to go rescue her. That was just solid. So that was epic. I think she's well cast as playing a spunky kid Leia. She's doing a great job. The actress doing that role. And then they've just really focused on where Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi would be mentally at this point in the Star Wars canon. So they've explored that really well. Those are kind of my initial things. And then in terms of moments, there's just been amazing, incredible moments throughout the first couple episodes that we can dive into. But what are your initial
Well, so my favorite episode so far, I think, would have to be episode 3.
Yes.
And that is and again, spoilers. That is when Darth Vader really shows up, and you get that second major duel with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader that you were hoping for. And if anything, you got it early. You got it on episode 3. I thought we would get it episode 6. And we can talk about what we think we're gonna get with episode 6, but just the Michael Myers style of Vader, that Vader can just be walking.
Yes. And just wreck a town. It's terrifying.
Well, not only that, not only can he wreck a town, and not only do you see that brutality, and he's choking everybody with the force. And from what I hear that they actually dumbed that down because it was.
Really?
I hear that it was even more brutal, and
Really?
I think that they dialed it in a little bit. But the idea that Obi-Wan is that initial shock that he had, like when Vader landed and you see him like cower over in terror, like he was almost sick.
Yeah.
I thought that was great acting. And then what's remarkable though is that Vader, as Obi-Wan, is just running away. There's no escaping him.
Yeah.
There's like
just that slow confidence of just like, oh.
Yeah. So I just thought it was epic. That episode in particular, when you start out and you've got Vader in the back to tank, like you see him going into his suit. You see like this is how he's been surviving, is like he's probably in and out of that tank every day, just living this tortured, terrible life. Yep. And then some of the lines when they reconvene, where he says, this is what you made me.
I was about to bring that up. You read my mind. Yeah, that line from James Earl Jones at 93 still has the same gravitas that he's had all throughout Star Wars. And it's just like, oh, so good.
Phenomenal line. The other line that I thought was great was time has made you weak.
Yeah.
Time has made you weak was another great one. And that, because if you watch that episode, he's almost disappointed.
Yeah, like he thought this would be more of a fight. Yeah,
I think that he thought it would be more of a fight. And if you notice, he's only using one hand the entire time.
Yep.
Obi-Wan is using two. He's just overpowering him with one hand by far, just like incredibly powerful. And then the idea that he just tries to like drag him across those flames just to this is where the pain begins, or wherever, or whatever he said at that point in time. Oh man, to me, really just giving us like more of that Rogue One last scene Vader.
Yes.
I just think like this is the height of Vader, and they're doing a good job of showing how brutal he is.
Yeah. No, they're making that reuniting fight in episode 4 that much more epic and have that much more weight to it, because you've seen the build up now, and they're just complimenting the originals, which is great.
One thing that I realized through watching this series that I never thought I would think about was that Qui-Gon Jinn is just a terrible judge of character. When you look back at this, a lot of shit could have, because it's not like Anakin would have been dead had Qui-Gon not trained him. He probably would have lived like a fairly ordinary life.
Yeah.
But if you look at what would have been solved, Mace Windu would have killed the Emperor.
Yep.
And that pretty much would have been it.
The end of the Clone Wars.
That would have been it. So the Jedi would have taken over. But the idea that you have this supposed Jedi master, I question if he was even a master, because you've got every other Jedi, including Yoda, Mace Windu, virtually everybody saying, oh yeah, this kid has just about as much anger needed to destroy the entire guy. Like, because you could tell that they're like, oh, much anger in this boy. Like, it's like, don't train him. Literally every Jedi master is like, don't train him. And then Qui-Gon, and supposedly humility is supposed to be a virtue of the Jedis. The amount of arrogance that you would need to not only turn down like Mace Windu, turn down Yoda, turn down virtually the entire quorum of Jedi masters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to, maybe some Star Wars fans will hate me for this, but I'm going to say that Qui-Gon Jinn should have had his stripes revoked a long time ago, you know?
He was headstrong. That's why he wasn't on the council.
Oh, is that why he wasn't on the council?
Yeah, he was a master, but he wasn't on the council because he was constantly going against them and butting heads with them. Yeah, he definitely could have saved the galaxy a lot of trauma if he hadn't worked out of the box as much, doing things his way. So I agree with you on that.
Oh man. So all right, so let's talk about episode 5.
That twist with Reva, I should have seen that coming, but I thought she must have been a youngling that survived the Jedi Massacre. I had that idea, and I was like, okay. Yeah. But then the fact that she's actually seeking to undermine Vader this whole time, that I did not expect, and I liked it very much.
I expected it. As soon as you start to see the younglings in episode 4. Yeah, because you I think there's like a dead youngling that was kind of, I don't know,
in that weird stasis thing or whatever.
Yeah, like glass or whatever it was. And then you see Reva, and you work into your mind of, okay, how could this person have these powers? Yeah. And they look like a ordinary human being, and they don't look evil. You know what I mean? This is the only one that's not like pale white with like weird markings that looks like. Yeah, exactly. So, and then I thought to myself, like, okay, she was definitely a youngling. I saw it going one of two ways. I figured that she would turn, but I figured that she would turn as a result of like a duel with Obi-Wan where she actually helps to save Obi-Wan. And I thought it was going to be the type of thing where you have Obi-Wan and Vader fighting. Obi-Wan is getting bested. She jumps in, and then you get to see like an actual epic duel between her. I thought that her power level might have been a little bit more intense. Like I was kind of hoping for like a Ahsoka level power level.
Yeah.
But I guess that, in episode 5, we just get to see how fucking strong Vader is, that he didn't even have to use his lightsaber for most of the duel.
Yeah. Well, he never did. He never pulls it out. He always uses hers. He just takes it. I think so. He didn't. I don't think he used his at all. No, he didn't use his own. That's for sure. But just the fact that he started out and she couldn't hit him with her own lightsaber when he had his back turned. Yes, that was an epic Vader moment. I was like, oh no, like, oh, so good. Well, I love too when he gets the transport and then he pulls it down, and I was like, oh, he's gonna board, and then he just rips it out and just opens it. I was like, oh, like it was epic. I loved it.
Well, what I think is amazing what they did there. Do you remember when Kylo Ren and Daisy got into that force battle trying to pull that, and then Daisy accidentally uses the force lightning, and they were both having trouble, but like even if Kylo wasn't trying to pull against the transport vehicle that Daisy was trying to pull in episode 7,
that was 9 actually. That was a 9.
Oh, was that 9?
I think it was a 9, yeah.
Oh, you might be right. No, you're right. It was 9, episode 9.
Yeah, it was like in the first act of episode 9.
Yeah. So even if Kylo wasn't trying, I would find it hard to believe. Like, I bet you would take Daisy like an hour to get it down and on the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas with Vader, it just shows how powerful he is, that he grabs it like immediately. He can just grab it, set the ship down.
And their thrusters are like full blast, and he's just like, nope. Yeah, it was epic.
What did you think of the duel? The duel that they had playing throughout the whole show of episode 5, of the flashback duel?
Oh, I like that a lot. I mean, I think the de-aging was pretty good. the first time I saw Hayden Christensen, I was a little bit like, okay, he looks his age. He doesn't look like youngling Anakin, or Jedi Padawan Anakin. But no, then as they went on with the banter, I thought that was a really great parallel for his aggression and like what style he's embracing as Vader. I thought that was a really good way to like go back and forth and show it,
Yeah. Well, what I think is remarkable about the internet is that the second that it drops, I saw a YouTube clip and it says de-aging this scene, and somebody else through their own editing skills had taken that scene and de-aged Hayden Christensen better than what the studio did. Oh yeah. He de-ages Hayden Christensen like perfectly, and it's like, oh man, if only Lucasfilms or whoever's doing that. I guess it's probably who's directing these.
So it's Lucasfilm as owned by Disney.
Yeah,
so it's distributed by Disney Plus, but Lucasfilm is overseeing it.
Lucasfilm, right?
And Deborah Chow is the showrunner who's been killing it, and she's directed most of the episodes as well. And she was she directed some episodes of The Mandalorian and some episodes of Jessica Jones first season, which I really enjoyed as well. So
is Jon Favreau directing any of these?
No, he's been working on The Mandalorian season 3. So Deborah Chow's been running the show and just knocking it out of the park.
So anyway, we need to introduce Deborah Chow to this YouTube person, because apparently this YouTube person can help de-age Hayden Christensen a little bit better.
Yeah, but I think for the first moment, it was like, oh, like based on his hairstyle, I knew it was like pre-Clone Wars Hayden Christensen,
sure,
pre-Clone Wars Anakin. So, but then when I saw him and Obi-Wan interacting, I was in it, so it didn't really take me out of it too much.
Yeah, I thought that it was great, and just how they drew the parallels between, like, this is how Obi-Wan knew what Vader would do is because of his fighting style.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the other flashback I was slightly disappointed with was the youngling flashback, and I
had too many cuts. I agree.
Well, I was going to say that I wanted Vader to kill more younglings. I wanted more on-screen. I wanted more on-screen youngling deaths.
I think they cut that though, probably from what it was originally, due to recent tragedies, in Texas and stuff. Because they, at least on my Disney Plus account, I've heard it hasn't been for all, but it had like a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode of like, this could be traumatic. And like, the Star Wars canon of what happened at the Jedi Temple has been around since Episode 3 came out in 2006. So that's been around for 16 years. But I think just given recent stuff, they probably dialed that scene back a lot, which I get,
Yeah, but they could have had, I don't know. They are Jedi and not
right.
They are armed.
True. They have their little lightsabers. Yeah.
It is fiction.
True.
In
the first episode of the series, they opened up with a pretty long fight scene there with the younglings, and that was I liked seeing the clone troopers, and I liked seeing the full Jedi Temple. You get that beautiful wide shot of the hallway. Like, they did a good job with it, I think.
Sure. But, all right, so moving on to predictions.
Yes.
Predictions for episode 6.
I mean, we're gonna get a final showdown with Obi-Wan and Vader. There's got to be a final thing of where he either thinks, okay, he's either gonna win and Obi-Wan's gonna escape barely, and Vader's gonna think, okay, he's gonna go run off and hide again, I've won. Or maybe he'll think he even kills Obi-Wan. I don't know, but I think there's gonna be a final showdown between them, and obviously they're gonna get Leia back to her parents in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I guess the question is whether or not they're gonna do a second season, because if there is a second season, then they could go a couple different directions with it.
True.
And I think that it did get renewed for a second season, right?
Has it? I haven't heard either way. I don't know.
I don't know definitively, but I feel like it's gonna be tough to match the success with the rest of the shows that they have in their lineup. Like, I
don't know. Andor looks pretty cool. The Cassian Andor one, some rebel espionage, that looks fun, and I like the character Cassian Andor a lot. So
I I just don't think that there's the star power to bring in the masses. I think everybody's been waiting for the Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen for a while.
Well, there's talk that they might do a Darth Vader series with Hayden Christensen in the suit and James Earl Jones as the voice. That would be pretty epic to get more of that.
Well, that's what's been happening now, though, correct?
I mean, pretty much, yeah. It's been him versus Obi-Wan. So
do you think it'll just pick up? Do you think it'll pick up in the 10 or so years before this series, or do you think it'll be after this series and just do?
I don't know. I mean, they have so many stories they can pull from that have been, laid out in those 19 years between 3 and 4. So they could even go before this show, have some Vader stuff, or after. I don't know. I read an article saying that it's being talked about. I don't know if anything's official yet. But
so here's my thought. If they do another fight scene with Obi-Wan and Darth, if they do that, then you lose the arc for a second season,
right?
Because then it kind of lessens. I mean, how many times did they fight? I mean, are they going to just keep on having these duels? Because every time that they have a duel, it dilutes the duels. You know what I mean?
True,
like
true.
I feel like because if you think about it now, if we were to line up the duels and just say, okay, let's just say that you're correct. Let's say that there is a duel. So that means that the first real duel,
was in episode 3 when they cross in the quarry.
Vader chops him in half. I mean in the film, or not Vader, but Obi-Wan chops him in half in the film.
Oh, he doesn't chop. You mean Darth Maul?
No, when Obi-Wan chops Vader's legs off.
Oh yeah, in episode 3 at Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
That
would be the first big duel, because everything else was just training, right?
Yeah, totally. That's the first time they crossed blades like aggressively.
Okay, so that's number 1.
Yes.
Number 2 is what we saw in episode 3 of the show.
Yes.
So if number 3 happens, right, and if this is the end of the series, how would this duel need to be different? Because keep in mind that would mean that if this series ends, that the next time that they have the duel is in when
New Hope, when they meet on the Death Star.
When they meet on the Death Star. So what would need to happen in this duel in order to show a different shade of? Because obviously in the last duel, basically Obi-Wan disappears. He basically says, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can even imagine. And then he strikes him down. He disappears. He becomes a Force ghost.
Yes.
So now Darth Vader in this has won the second duel already and drug him through the flames.
Yes.
But Darth Vader, he still hasn't doled out enough punishment.
Right.
Compared to what he's taken. So do you think that the next duel is just somewhat closer, and Obi-Wan he kind of just gets doled out a ton of punishment and he gets rescued again?
I would hope it's not that, because that would feel like a little bit of a repeat of what we've already seen. I'm just trying to think of, because I just watched the episode earlier today of episode 5. There's this whole added element now of Reva surviving and seeing that little hologram. So I'm thinking like, okay, she knows about Luke and Leia kind of. How's that going to, complicate things further? Because now it's like Obi-Wan has to make sure she doesn't get that information to Vader, because so I don't know. I'm excited for whatever they're gonna do based on the first 5 episodes. I'm guessing it's gonna be awesome. So I'm just trying to figure out what it could be,
So how does Reva survive then? Does she just find the closest back to tank, or what?
Possibly.
She just crawls over. There's just one Stage left, there's just a back to tank just ready to go.
Well, there was the back to tank at that same station that Obi-Wan used when he got there, so she could just hop in there, maybe. I don't know, or she's just like on the verge of dying, and she seems like she's gotten pretty powerful in the Force as an Inquisitor, so maybe she's able to kind of stave off death for a little while. I don't know. We're gonna see. But
do you think that we will see any aid from a different Jedi, from different, is there, are we going to get any cameos that we haven't didn't expect?
Could happen.
I have a couple in mind.
Are you thinking Ahsoka?
I'm not, but that would tie in because she's going to get her own series, correct? So no, I was actually thinking Mace Windu.
Oh, interesting.
Because Mace Windu died off screen.
True.
He had his
long been debated, did he survive or not?
He had his arm chopped off, and then he just got force lightning out into the abyss.
Right.
So
he's a super powerful Jedi. He could have totally survived that.
Totally survived it. So and I don't know. I feel like either that would be a big surprise if it was Mace Windu. Obviously, yes. That would be bigger than Ahsoka, in my opinion. The other one, Yoda. What's Yoda up to right now?
True. He could take a little vacation from Dagobah and come help out. I didn't think of that as a possibility.
Wait, so where is he right now?
He's on Dagobah. Again, I don't know if there's other stories of what he's doing in this time, but at the end of episode 3, the movie, we see him take a shuttle to Dagobah, and then we see him again in episode 5, the movies, in Empire Strikes Back on Dagobah, and it seems like he's been in exile the whole time there. And I've read somewhere, and I think this is still canon, that Dagobah is like a dark side planet. So Yoda went there to like kind of cloak himself in the enemy's own powers, you know?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And that's why Luke has that vision in the cave where he hits Vader's helmet and it's his own face. It's because I guess Dagobah's like rich with like dark side energy. Yes.
Interesting. Well, you know who could also spoil things though, because he's kind of in charge of this whole thing anyway. We could see a Qui-Gon Force ghost.
We could. What if the Emperor shows up though? What if we see a Palpatine?
Well, I'm surprised we haven't seen him yet, because he's at his peak right now, is he not?
Yeah, ruling the galaxy and stuff.
Vader is still serving him.
Absolutely. So yeah, that'd be an interesting character. Or to see just Darth Vader interacting with the Emperor. That'd be cool. I'd like to see that in episode 6. That would make me happy.
So what do you think happens with the Luke storyline? Because it seems like Obi-Wan needs to work his way back over to that planet. But if he works his way back over there now, it kind of just I don't know. It kind of sets itself up for kind of a boring season. Do they just go back to Tatooine every time that there's?
I hope I'm getting a little bit of Tatooine fatigue. you know, there's been so many stories there, so I would like them to explore other parts because the galaxy is so big. Like there's so many fun settings to explore, and that's one thing that made me really happy was that from the marketing stuff, I was worried that the whole Kenobi show was going to take place on Tatooine. So I really like that he left and is out doing stuff and going places and exploring things and meeting new characters. I really liked that about this show. So I hope they continue that, you know.
So I'm just trying to think here. I'm trying to think of where all the timelines are, because Boba Fett and Mandalorian take place post Daisy Ridley's timeline.
No, before Daisy Ridley, but after Return of the Jedi. So after Darth Vader's been killed by Luke. Spoilers if you haven't seen the movies since the 80s. But yeah, so after the Empire's overthrown, it's like the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett take place I want to say it's either 1 to 3 years after Return
The
of the Jedi, and the second Death Star gets blown up. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So I'm trying to think if any other characters that we're not thinking of could get introduced, because I guess Luke and Leia are still kids.
Yeah, they're 10 years old when the Kenobi series takes place, because it takes place 9 years before Episode 4.
Right. Well,
I like your idea about Yoda, though. I hadn't considered that he might leave Dagobah temporarily. I mean, he certainly has the capability of doing so and come intervene in some way. That'd be very interesting.
So how old would Ahsoka be at this time? She'd be quite young, was she not?
I want to say she was like a teenager during the Clone Wars, and it's been 10 years since then. So she's in her mid-20s.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so when we see her in Mandalorian,
she's in her like late 30s, early 40s.
Got it. So she's seen some shit.
Yeah.
But she was trained by Anakin or Darth Vader?
Just by Anakin. No, she left the Jedi Order shortly before Order 66. And so she was kind of living off as like a rogue gray Jedi, because she got disillusioned with the Jedi and left right before the end of the Clone Wars. And so she shows up in the TV show Rebels and helps out the Rebel Alliance. And during that show, she realizes that Darth Vader is Anakin. So if she showed up in this show, she probably wouldn't interact with Obi-Wan because she wouldn't realize that Anakin is Darth Vader,
Interesting.
So now that I think about it more, I don't think we're going to see Ahsoka in this show. But Yoda's that'd be interesting. And then if Mace Windu showed up, I'd love that. I don't think it's likely, but I think it'd be awesome. So.
Well, I think that's all I've got, Josh. I think that's those are my thoughts on it. So far out of 10, I've got to give it a 9.5.
Yeah, no, it's been excellent. I've loved
at least
every minute of it. Completely agree.
Well, Josh, I think until next time, we'll have to have a recap at episode 6 for sure.
Absolutely.
And then yeah, what's the next thing that's coming out? The next show that they're doing?
I think it's the Cassian Andor show, which comes out in September, maybe. So it's a few months out.
Oh man, we might just have to make the Star Wars thing a recurring.
I think we should.
We'll have
thing. Different backgrounds every time. It'll be good. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I guess that this is showing the viewers who each of us is hoping to win. I don't know about
that.
I kind of want Darth Vader to win, but then again, I don't know. I want Obi-Wan to. He has been building his powers throughout the series, which is cool to see.
Yes, I loved in episode 4 when he was like, okay, Leia's been captured. He started getting more in his element and getting his confidence back. That was really cool to see.
Oh, and by episode 5, apparently a blaster is worthless against the Jedi because it doesn't matter how many lasers are coming in. It doesn't matter when Obi-Wan is in his element. They're all coming back.
Yeah, that was great.
It's kind of like, well, why don't they just all shoot at once?
He would spin his lightsaber and do it,
okay.
Or he'd use the Force to push it back. I don't know.
Very much a Neo Matrix type skill.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
One more week and we'll find out. But thank you for your time, my friend. This has been awesome. I love nerding out over the show. It's been so great. So.
It's been wonderful. All right, Josh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for being on Nerds and Friends. We appreciate you, Mike.
All right. See you, Josh. Bye-bye.
See ya.